Quick video tonight on the Datsun 620 project. This is the barn find that hadn't been started since 1998. I've started it one other time a few days ago, and I've made a short video on that. But I thought it might be interesting to take a little bit of a slowdown and show how I have hot-wired the engine to bypass all the electrical system and also bypass the fuel tank in order to give it a test of the engine purely by itself in isolation. So I'm just going to walk through how that's done. So the first thing I want to show you, I'm not using the gas tank in the truck. So I've got this gas tank that came off of basically a lawnmower type engine, and I have that gravity feeding right down here into the carburetor. Now I bought that carburetor off Amazon for 50 bucks. It's not the best. I only put it on there till I get the other one rebuilt, but I was having some difficulty finding the rebuild kit for the one that should be there. But the intent is to put the OEM one back. So that was one of the first steps I did. That takes away worrying about the dirt in the gas tank, the dirt in the line, whether the fuel pump works, which I'm suspecting that it does not. The next thing that I've done, I'm going to show you. I've got the coil right here. So you can see this yellow wire. This coil wire goes right into the back of the distributor, which then feeds the point system. And I will say the points, the first time I adjusted them, I had the truck running and then it wouldn't start today. And when I went in there, the points were not adjusted again. And it's not real clean in there, but I reset the points and this thing started right up tonight. So that was great. So with the coil, the way that it goes, this wire heads off to the points. This other wire, it goes to the hot side of the battery. So you can see I've got a jumper wire here and it just goes across. I've got it set up with a fuse so I don't burn anything up. I've got just a switch that I think I took it out of an old vacuum cleaner actually. That goes right over and connects to the hot side of the battery. So when I turn that button on, that gives power to the coil, so then it can do the spark plugs. For the starter's way down there. If you look at this heavy black wire, that heavy black wire goes right up to the hot also. So that's hooked up correctly. That's the way they're always hooked up, to give the heat from the battery and a high amperage directly to that starter to turn that engine over. It takes a lot of energy to do that. But to trigger the starter is another smaller wire. See this blue wire coming up right here? That blue wire comes all the way up right here. And I have it, you're going to laugh at me, but this is a doorbell. And I also have a fuse on it right there. So to start the truck, I just push the doorbell. And that's the equivalent of when you turn the key, you know, when it has that, you turn it the farthest and it kind of springs back. That's the equivalent of pushing that doorbell. When you turn the key to the position where it runs, that's the equivalent of clicking that switch over there. So that isolates this whole engine running with no other wires. So everything from the truck's original wiring system is basically disconnected, unnecessary, and lets me test this engine by itself. Now, one other thing I did, I so far have been unsuccessful in finding a fan to go on this motor. And this is back in the days when the fan actually bolted straight to the motor. So what I've done, I've got an electric fan zip tied in here, and this is the hot wire of it. And I'm literally just attaching it to the battery right there. Here, I'll start it for you. Here, take off. So whenever I start the engine, I hook that up right afterwards so that it has the cooling system running with it. So I'm just going to show you doing this. So I'm going to come over, click it to run. I'm going to come over here to my doorbell, start my engine. I'm going to reach back here and just give it a little more gas, up that idle a little bit. Okay, like that. I'm going to come over here, hook up my fan, Hang on, I gotta set the camera down for that. Yeah, so there's my fan, which you can kind of hear it running. And so now that engine is running, it's just totally hot wired with just those basically 3 wires. The one going from the starter to the doorbell to the hot, the one going from the coil to the switch to the hot, and the one going from the electric fan to the hot. And now I can watch this engine run, I can let it warm up, keep an eye on it. Like I say, it hasn't run more than, I would guess a total of 10 minutes since 1998. We've changed the oil, we put in a new starter, we put in a new coil, we put in new points, put in a new radiator because it was missing, and then that little electric fan, and that's all we've done so far. But the goal is to get this running for my daughter to drive to high school, and she's going to drive it until we can get her what her dream truck is, which is a Ford F100 from 1958 that I have in the backyard. But we got to get this guy running first so she has a daily driver, and it's coming along. It's coming along. Show you a few other things that we've been doing. The inside, we vacuumed 5 gallons of rat crap out of this when we first got it home. The windows are broken out on the sides and the back. I just got a piece of black plexiglass in the back there. We took shag carpet that we picked up on Marketplace and zip tied it over the springs of the bench seat. And that's not too bad. It's comfortable to sit in. You can see it's still pretty rough in there. We're gonna have to do some welding to fix the floor. But it's tolerable and it's running. And I'll come back to the exhaust back here. Man, it just sounds pretty cool. Did have some crap come flying out of it when we first started it, but I'm guessing that rodents have probably been living up in there at some point. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe you'll find it helpful if you need to hot wire a barn find truck to get the engine running. Have a good night. Bye.